Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 3 in this series between ThorZain and Adelscott. ThorZain spawning as the red Terran player at the 3 o'clock position, meanwhile Adelscott spawning as the orange Protoss. So this is going to be Protoss versus Terran once again. They obviously decided to change up their colors one more time on me, and this game is now underway. Thinking back to game 1s and game 2 in the series, if you guys haven't watched them, I've been trying to be a little bit more proactive in letting you guys know when the series are involved, and also labeling the games as game 1 and game 2, and also spoiler alert. So game 1, a really strong game, but ThorZain had complained that he just had a really poor opening, and he went mass Thors against a lot of gateway units, which really ended up hurting him in the end. He didn't have enough marauders, he didn't have any siege tanks, and that ultimately just came back to bite him, as he was unable to macro up very well at all. In game 2, we just had a very dominant display from ThorZain. ThorZain using a build of Marine Marauder Reaper, which was pretty effective, I must say, in holding off an early aggression, or trying to stem off against any early aggression, and then also using that early Reaper in order to do the scouting, making sure that there was an expansion and that he didn't have to worry about a 4-gate. If he didn't see the expansion, I'm pretty sure he would have thrown down more bunkers and increased his army production barracks units in order to fend off that attack while already having that orbital command up. One of the benefits of an orbital command is as soon as it has energy, you're able to efficiently mine with mules, and then mules definitely do help out in the game. SCV now making its way across the map in game 3. SCV going to just do some early scouting and pretty much see what he expects to see. Adelscott opening up with pylon, gateway, pylon, and then on the Cybernetics core, so nothing too out of the ordinary there. 90% of the times when an SCV does, or any scouting unit comes into the base at around the 3-minute mark, this is what you are going to expect to see. Chrono boosting now happening on some probes. Not really much to talk about here, nothing to write home about. ThorZain may be opening up with that same build once more. It looks like he will be training up a Marauder, I believe, and then as soon as he trains up a Marauder, he may have enough gas for a Reaper, and then perhaps try to set up a command center as well. It's very important that this SCV sticks around on the inside of this base as long as it can, to get as much scouting information. He needs to know if another gas visor will be placed down. He knew the timing on that stalker and knew that that stalker would be coming out in just a second. Also an SCV making its way out, and now coming down, and now seeing if there is any proxy pylons. Doesn't see any proxy pylons here, and now placing that command center once again at the 4-minute mark. We now see that Reaper being trained as well, so this is going to be Marine Marauder Reaper expansion, and now a bunker being placed here at this rather narrow choke point, and it will also act as a nice early warning system. And now nicely done, Adelscott just beyond sight range on right there is that bunker, so when ThorZain jumps into that bunker, he will be able to fight back and deal a lot of damage. You can now see the Reaper now making its way out. The Reaper, I'm trying to make sure that it is not scouted out by that one Xel'Naga watchtower. It is going to be very smart play by ThorZain. ThorZain going to wander around the far side and then check to see if there is an expansion. And the problem is that ThorZain is going a rather not very typical build at all. He's going to 3-gate with a warp prism, so that warp prism will be able to load up 4 units and then also be able to make its way over and then warp in some additional units as well. You can see the warp gate research is about to be completed. Those gateways are nowhere near being done, but you can see that warp prism is going to allow those units to jump inside in just a second, waiting for one more there. There it is, and now the Reaper sees what he doesn't want to see. There is absolutely nothing here. The probe is down over here. The Reaper now jumping up onto that high ground, and in comes this warp prism. Adelscott going to do a lot of damage with this warp prism, especially with 2 additional gateways coming online in just a second. 2 Stalkers and 2 Zealots now making their way, dealing a lot of damage here. Marines and Marauders now trying to run back, and this brilliant play now coming back to bite ThorZain. ThorZain needs to re-engage in this fight over here. The Warp Prism should be able to warp in some more units. Not quite sure why they are not warping in units. There we go, getting those reinforcements now, and the more Stalkers getting more and more damage. Warp Prism turning around, getting more damage across, and now those Stalkers, oh, nicely done. Beautiful play, beautiful execution by Adelscott. And Adelscott getting a lot of damage early with that one Warp Prism. The problem is that Adelscott does not know about this expansion down here. There are a lot of SCVs, there are 2 mules as well, and that's going to mean that ThorZain has the economic advantage. ThorZain currently sitting at 38 over 38 food though, compared to 48 over 50. Adelscott could try to push in with another drop and try to press his advantage, but I'm not sure how much that would work at all. You can see that the Marines and Marauders are just standing by over here and trying to prepare themselves for another drop that may be imminent. An Observer now making its way across. SCV now moving out to do some scouting, and now Stalkers going to drop in along this side here, and this is going to be a problem for ThorZain. ThorZain does not know that another drop is currently coming in. Oh, does the SCV see it? The SCV, I believe, saw it for just a second, and now Stalkers are down over here. We do see that there is Observer now making their way, and now the long trek to make it down over here to the natural expansion. This SCV will also get shot down in just a second, and the vents, oh, not protecting that one particular SCV, and now dropping all those units once again. So nicely done. Adelscott getting in a lot of damage and using the high mobility of Protoss Warp Prisms in order to do effective drops. Very, very nice play there. We'll see if those Warp Prisms even get additional movement speed upgrades. If those Warp Prisms get that additional movement speed upgrade, the Warp Prisms are going to essentially feel like they're everywhere at once. And as a Terran player, you normally don't see a lot of Warp Prisms, and I just really like this play by ThorZain. I'm sorry, by Adelscott. We'll see how this really works out, as there is now a very, very large standing army at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, keeping track and keeping control of these units. The Warp Prism may try to warp in units along this dark area over here, and that would work out fairly well. Adelscott, yeah, just warping in along right there. ThorZain doesn't see that over here, and now you can see them trying to pressure up on that front door. That Warp Prism will be able to start warping in units. Not quite sure what they're waiting for. A Viking is right there and currently being trained, and now units are being warped out. This ThorZain, yeah, ThorZain does see the Zealots are currently being warped in, and now all those units need to run all the way back home in order to try to offer some protection on that mineral line. SCVs currently just running around trying to get away, and there is one Zealot over there. We see that the Warp Prism has been taken down, but now another fight happening over here at the front door. So both fights happening. The sentry was taken down to make sure that those Marines and Marauders are not going to be able to get that much damage the Marines and Marauders are able to get their full damage in, as a bunker is almost on fire there. SCVs now once again trying to do more mining once again. You can see more SCVs just returning the mining here, but Adelscott about to establish his third base, which also happens to be the gold mineral patches as well. Very, very constant pressure by Adelscott, but it hasn't really done the necessary damage so far. ThorZain responding to it very, very well. The Viking is in the air. The Viking was able to finish off that Warp Prism, so he doesn't have to deal with Warp Prism play nearly as much. Stalkers perhaps going to try to take down these destructible rocks and make their way across this chasm here, as we are now getting a robotics bay. The robotics bay obviously for Colossus at this stage, as there are so many ground units just sitting over here, and that would just get eaten up very, very easily. Engineering bay has been completed. We should be getting the level 1 weapons upgrade and armor upgrade in just a second. Medevac now healing up the rest of those units, as well as more Immortals are now being trained. A Medevac drop now coming into play. There is one Viking over here, and this is going to be a problem. The Observer does see these 2 Medevacs, so the army is already on the move in order to intercept it, and it looks as though this drop may just get pushed back very, very easily. Gateways are back over here, and now those Stalkers want to make their way over. The Marines and Marauders are going to start dropping out of the sky in just a second, and now you can see the Stalkers already on the move, trying to get some damage in onto those Medevacs. So Medevacs taking a lot of damage, and now the Marines and Marauders also stimming. Both sides doing a lot of damage. The probes are not engaging, and that is just so much damage to be had. Those ThorZain just doing a great job. The probes not coming off the mineral line, and I believe that was a problem. And because the probes didn't come off the mineral line, those units were able to attack, and Adelscott just wondering what happened there. He didn't really engage, and he didn't really fight back. That was a little bit sloppy by Adel. Adel not not really fending off that attack and didn't try to take down the medevacs to stop the retreat. Back over here, we now see another elevator drop, and these Marines and Marauders are just going to simply stim in and get a lot of damage over here, cleaning up many of those probes. And Adelscott is now on the ropes. Army now trying to make its way over. I believe the Marines and Marauders should be able to finish down this Nexus, already down to 900 hit points, and now going after pylons, trying to destroy critical buildings and try to get as much damage as possible. Quickly calculating that there are only 2 Stalkers in that group, and now once again pulling away to try to deal more damage. I do not think, yeah, he could have tried to do another drop there, but those medevacs so low on hit points, it looks like those medevacs actually did another drop at the same time and was fended off again. So a nice double drop coming in from ThorZain. At that time, there are Stalkers over here, just perhaps trying to wait and intercept. Adelscott does have a decent number of probes mining out the gold mineral location, but army-wise, you can see it is pretty even, and income-wise, Adelscott having only a slight advantage. And so far, Adelscott has been dealing some damage, but ThorZain accidentally hit B. ThorZain has been absorbing that damage very, very well. One Marauder activating this Onaga Watchtower does see this incoming army, and for some reason that Marauder has an early death, deciding to stand against an army of Stalkers. Very, very foolish by that one Marauder there. We now see Command Center just trying to float away, trying to get back up onto that high ground. And now an army of Marauders and Marines with a lot of SCVs coming in. And now in comes that stim. The concussive shell has been researched, so they will be able to pick off many of those units, as those units are now just chasing down those Immortals. Immortals just getting picked off one by one here, and just doing a great job using that stim attack, and then trying to make sure another round of stim could ensure more death and destruction. Vikings are in the air to try to counter the one Colossus. More Zealots are being warped in. That was a lot of units being warped in off of 10 gateways, and here comes the fight. SCVs just currently just wandering around. Marauders and Marines trying to fight back, trying to separate a little bit more. SCVs, I believe, are on auto repair, repairing the SCVs. So the SCVs repairing the medevacs healing the ground army, and wow, very nicely done. Another Colossus trying to engage once again. I do believe, no, all the Vikings have been shot down. Marines and Marauders just using those stim packs are upgraded 1-0 against 0-0 upgraded Stalkers. And the Marines are dealing 7 damage per attack against those Stalkers, which are only dealing 10. And with those medevacs offering so much the support, Adelscott will be forced to say GG, especially as Vikings are coming in to reinforce. More units are warping in at the same time. More Zealots warping in. A lot of gateway units are coming in. And Marauders doing some nice drops and pickups, trying to pull these units back one at a time. Adelscott saying GG as Vikings are landing over here at the expansion, at the natural expansion. So very well played by Adelscott. Adelscott took a beating. Very well played by ThorZain. Adelscott dealt a beating to ThorZain, but ThorZain, being very tactical, being very calculated, absorbed those blows nicely, and then was able to macro up and counter very well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this series between Adelscott and ThorZain. For some of you guys who think that this was a 3-game series, there's still another game to be cast. I will be casting it and posting it up on Machinima Realm. It will also be featured, for those of you guys who watch me daily, it will be featured on my channel, I believe the evening of February 9th, and then it should stay up there until the evening of February 11th when my new Machinima Realm video goes up. Alright, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, hope you guys enjoyed it.